This is episode 268 of the Gold Squadron podcast. I'm your host, Dion Morales, and today I'm joined by my friend, Marcel. I'm early, Manzano.
I wrote a whole lot more than that.
I'm early, super early, so early that I'm doing podcast 269 right now, Manzano.
You see, he's not in school anymore, but he still has to read.
Will, take my lead, Hagwood.
Hey everybody, how's it going?
And Ryan, I have liberated my voice back from the clutches of Ursula Staniszewski.
Mostly. It's all here. I'm not cheese grater anymore. Yay.
Yay. All right. It's good to have Staniszewski back in full form. Well, announcements and news, same as last week. A couple of reminders. July 9th, the planning phase Syndicate Showdown in Orlando, Florida. If you're going to be in the Florida area, you want to come down and play. I believe they still have spots available. We did have the link in last week's description. You can go ahead and click it this week as well. Looking forward to meeting some folks there in a couple of weeks. And then July 16th and the 17th, the Galactic Championship qualifier. It's Malachor, the second one of 5 qualifiers. It is happening during one of the during the Western European time zone. So make sure to get signed up. GoldSquadronPodcast.com. And last but not least, in a couple of weeks, we also have Mini Extravaganza happening July 14th through the 16th. So that means we might have some little tidbits to talk about of Mini Extravaganza during our Galactic Championship qualifier stream. Should be a good time. Of course, podcast episode brought to you by GSP patrons. Thank you so much. All shipping information has been sent off to our shipper to prepare the shipment for you guys for Patreon. Again, reminder, quarter 2 and quarter 3 will be combined together and sent out. So today, here is what's on the docket. We are first going to be hitting the XTC. Today is an XTC primer. The season starts this week for XTC, and we're going to go ahead, take a little bit of a look at the faction breakdown, talk about the Team USA strategy, since we have Will here, who's the captain, Marcel, one of the players / ex-captain, and we want to know how things are going, have some conversation around that. We're also going to take a little bit of time and revisit our list of the week section. We have a quick question that we're actually going to answer first, and then at the end, we're going to go ahead and talk about the Obi-Wan Kenobi series review. We're going to go ahead and break it down, talk about what we liked, what we want, and more. So make sure to stick around. Of course, we'll give you a full warning before we get to that, just in case you haven't seen the finale, but we're getting pretty close to open spoiler dates, so make sure to be ready for that. But I want to start by actually answering a very simple question. Simple for us, but we can understand how newer players might get this mixed up. So, Will, I'm going to go ahead and throw you this watermelon. You ready? So, Pero asks, hello, can you please answer this question? May I take my range ruler out at any point during the game to measure distance from my ships to other things? Or am I only allowed to measure when I try to target lock or when I have already declared attacking a specific ship?
So yes, yes and no. Yes, on the target lock, you can measure and check range to any object and see if it's in range 0 to 3. There is abilities as well. What comes to mind is Landau Calrissian, which you can, if you're choosing an object, normally a ship or something like that, in a certain range, you can certainly measure then as well. But for the second part, when you attack, you do not have to declare the defender before you measure. You can measure to anything, and then see if it's in arc, see if it's in range, and then make that decision.
There you go. So pretty easy. And so like Will said, the no part is you can't just do it at any point you want. There's those triggers. Attacking, when you have declared that target lock, or when you have those abilities. Remember, you can post your questions. Doesn't matter how, quote unquote, simple. If you think it's a simple rules question, we'd love to hit those in our Discord question submission section. Hit them up. Or if you have some more philosophical things for us to discuss, such as is a pizza quesadilla with red sauce? All right. So let us continue. There I got Will thinking, but that's not our question today. So we got to keep going. The XTC. Marcel, what is the XTC?
It's the X-Wing Team Championship, but more specifically, it's more like the. It started out as the European National Team Championships, where all the European teams picked a national team, or however they went about to get to that, and they would basically follow Euros around, which is European Continental Championships, I think it was called, Euros. And as of 2019, countries from outside of Europe started participating, and now it's more of a it's more of a national tournament where only one team per country is allowed to participate. I wouldn't necessarily call it like a World Cup, because there's a little bit more, like the selection process isn't quite as open always. And I know that there's, we've gotten some gripes about selection process in our own team for this particular year. Too bad, so sad. It is what it is. But
not the official stance of Team USA.
No, not the official stance of the official captain, William. It's the official stance of me, who am just a grunt. Anyway, so it's a team tournament. We have 25 teams participating this year. 24 of them are representing a country. One of them is just really to round out the. There's 5 groups of 5. So in order for one group not to have 4, there was a mercenaries team. They call it the Pirates. I think Funwalk is in charge of it, right?
So that means we have a total of how many teams this year?
25. 24 countries and one.
Okay. All right, that's good, because I know at first it was a little light. There was a rush at the end to get signed up.
Yeah, and it's a little surprising with the teams that ended up participating and the ones that didn't. Like, there are teams playing this year that did not play last year, and last year we had 40 or 38. Mm-hmm. And there are some major teams that are not playing this year that would be considered major. So 3 that come to mind is Peru. They represented South America.
They're not playing this year?
Peru is not playing. They could not put together a team. Poland, who's been a powerhouse every year, except last year they got maybe they're still licking their wounds, and Singapore, which came in.
That's another. Those are 3 really good teams.
Yeah,
that
3
couldn't
really
show
good
up
teams
this
that you
year.
expected to show up. And then we had I know Austria is I don't know how many other ones, but Austria, for example, is new this year to last year, but they played in like the actual when it was in person before.
Right. All right. Okay, cool. So we got 25 teams. That's a great number. Will, again, just this today, what I really want to do, even though there's some tidbits we've dropped around, who is Team USA? And I would like the official stance on how was the team selected and why are these people on the team, just to put it out there.
Well, I will actually start by deferring that to Marcel.
I did not select the team.
What? If you didn't select the team and I didn't select the team,
I did select the team.
Oh, okay.
I'm throwing the blame over to Will. So the selection process this year. So basically, the selection process was everybody who played last year, playing this year, and the reason for that is last year there was an application, and then where have you played, and I was talking to you, Dion, and other people that are like, okay, because you have to get camaraderie, people that get along, also people that have done well and proven to do well. So everybody that was on the team last year had a consistent showing of either winning tournaments or consistent, making cuts consistently and playing on a regular basis.
We had data on them, especially in that online era, like
exactly
when online blew up.
Yeah. So there was a lot of data, and the ones that towards the very end, I started doing some playoffs. Like you play against, basically you play and you're in, you lose and you're out. Win and lose out type of thing. So last year was an actual selection process. This year, I didn't feel that we had. When the selection was made, there was the only tournament that had happened for 2.5 was Adepticon, and that's an in-person tournament that only, the people that were, like 150 people and showed up, and there was no online data. So I just said, you know what? I know that the people that played last year had good camaraderie. We're still keeping in touch. We know they're good players, and for the most part, we believe that people that were good last year will, or in 1.0, 2.0, like will continue to at least be good. And more than anything, I know that they're committed, because that was my number one concern, is that people sign up and then ghost us like a month into it. Which can very well happen in this format, especially if you lose the first one or lose the first two and you start losing interest. It does a disservice to the teams. Let's say, hopefully it doesn't happen, but let's say we lose the first two games. We still have to show up and play our best in the third game, because if we just lay down for the third team, it's doing a disservice to everybody else who beat us fair and square. So we need to make sure that I knew that the players that were here last year were committed, and they were responsible, and they would show up to the team meetings and all that. So anyway, so that's why there wasn't an application process or anything. There was no data, and there was a shorter time frame. Last year we were doing this in January. This time it's like 3 weeks. It's like, okay, put your team together. You got 2-3 weeks to do your lists and everything else, and let's go.
There you go. All right. So who is the team, Will?
Who is the team? Well, we still have Marcel returning as a player. He is switching to a wild faction, the CIS, at this point in time. Marcel, what are you flying? Flying Django? I know what you're flying, but it's Django and what?
It's Django. So it's Django Fett. Then it's 2 bombardment drones. It is Django, 2 bombardment drones, and 3 Trade Federation drones. The two generics and Doofus. So it's a total of 5. A total of 6 ships.
So DFS 081 being the 2-cost one that's named, and then 2 separatist drones that are also I3.
Yeah, so it's all of the drones are I3. So it's 2 drones with Discord missiles. The I3 drones with Discords. It's Doofus with energy shells, and then 2 bombardment drones with clusters and seismics, and then Django with a bunch of stuff.
Okay, so now here's my question again for maybe somebody who wasn't a part of the XCC. How do lists work? Is this, you guys have to keep the same list throughout the entire thing? Is there, how many rounds are there? How does this thing work?
Well, so we're going to take our 5 players. We've all selected the list. The rest of the team is me flying First Order, Doug Howe flying Scum, Steve Catullo flying the Empire, which he did last year as well. And then we have Tommy Adams, the Mega Silver himself, flying the Rebels. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take our 5...
Don't forget the other 2.
Oh, you know what? Thank you for reminding me. I was focused on the list. We do have two other members of the team. That's Matthew Carey as a substitute, and Kenneth Lyon is our coach slash sub. So he's handling the most of the pairing process, and then obviously filling in when necessary. So great to see. We ended up with
One more, and then Daniel Leon is also playing. He was on our team. He was our CIS
Yes.
player, but he is playing for Team Norway this year. So he
A
hopped on
betrayal
plane and
most
went to
high.
Norway.
A betrayal
betrayal.
most high.
Yes. He did ask ahead of time. He's like, "Hey, you guys mind? They need a sub. There's 8 of us." And
we just expect the L, when from them, when we play Norway.
Time to
that's
lay
all.
down. Lay
Just,
down.
you know how it is.
All right.
No, nothing like that. Nothing like that. So then those 5 players have been matched up in with other teams in 5 different groups. It's Group A, B, C, and D. I think these are all their abbreviations, so we'll see if I can dig through them. Marcel, you got a list of all 25 teams that doesn't have abbreviations?
I don't have it open.
Let me know if you can find one. But
I'll get one. Just
while you're looking at that, so then these groups are paired up. We're going to play 5 rounds, and each team then is going to have a bye as well. So you're going to play the 4 other teams in your group throughout the 5-week Swiss. Then the top teams will be face off against each other in a 2-day event. I believe that's August 27th, if I'm not mistaken, about a month from now. No, that can't be right. September 27th. But then that's will break down the same way as far as teams competing against each other. They'll play all the teams in the cup, and then the team with the overall best record will continue to be the champion for the year.
Awesome.
So I don't have it without the abbreviations, but I can go ahead and take one for the team and
Start guessing those abbreviations.
Good luck, because there's some of those countries where there's they put 3 letters and none of them are in the country name somehow.
I can look at pictures. I can look at the flags. I don't know if that's going to be any better.
Abbreviations. So we'll start off with.
Oh wait, no. You know what? No. I do actually have it here.
I want to try it now. I want to test myself. And then correct me when I'm wrong. I'll start with Group A.
All right. Group A.
So Group
there
A,
we go.
you have Spain, Wales, RSA, which I assume is the Republic of South Africa, MYS, which I'm assuming is Malaysia, and CZR, which is that the Czech Republic? Czech.
Wow, 5 for 5, off to a great start.
So you had Spain, South Africa, Malaysia, Wales, and Czech.
All right, so let's actually while we're going through these, we might as well do it now. You got a high and a low.
Oh God, I don't want to do this again. I got so much crap for last year. Oh man,
how about just a personal favorite, Dion? Just a personal favorite one.
I'm going.
Who are you rooting for in Group A?
South Africa. Let's go.
Okay. Ryan, you got a heated competitor here?
In Group A, assuming SPA is Spain, I'll go with them.
Okay.
Going with Spain.
I'll go Wales.
That's probably not the wrong choice. I'm going Malaysia. I think that I think there's a lot of ability for any team to make it through into the cut. What about Group B?
So in Group B, we have Germany, HEL, which is, I think Heli is for Greece. Then we have Colombia. So what did I say? Germany, Greece, Colombia, Brazil, and Austria.
Australia.
Is it Australia? AUS? Okay. So that's the first one. So there's an Austria somewhere in there in the next one that I'll call Australia.
Okay.
So, and I'll just give I'm putting my money this time that Australia, if they're on this one, that Australia will bounce back and actually do well this time.
Ooh, you know what?
I like how you're like, I believe in you, and then throwing shade at the same time.
Well, they were terrible last year.
They were awful last year. They skewed their group so hard. It was very interesting.
They were trying to get the first pick in the draft. That's what it is, right?
I think they managed it. But you know what? I think I'm in on the same hat here. For Australia, Germany lost Funwalk to the Pirates. Spoiler alert. And I think Germany more or less fell apart last year too. So
all right, we're gonna make this official, guys. We're gonna. I've decided. Here we go. We're doing it. All right.
Okay.
This was our from the finals last year. Okay. So what we'll do is we're gonna change this up. So we go
I love
XTC.
seeing that bottom 3 prediction England come true from last year.
So what do they call this? The first round? What's the name of the first round?
this is the group round.
Okay.
Stage.
Group stage. Okay, and there's four stages, right?
There's 5 teams.
5 group or 5.
5 groups, 5 teams.
There you go. Yeah.
There are 5 groups. Okay. So then we need to pick a top for each group. Let's go ahead and do it like that.
Okay.
All right. So we'll get five underneath. So we'll go Group A first.
So Group A, I had who did I? Wales. And then I had Australia for Group 2. Group B.
All right. Ryan, what was your top for Group A?
Spain. Man, everyone jumped on the Australia comeback train. We can't
Will?
all be right. No.
No, I'm going Malaysia for Group A.
It was a abbreviation MAL. What's the-
MYS.
MYS.
MYS. And I said, I think that South Africa's a new team, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm going
RSA, if you're going.
RSA. There you go. And so
Just write it out, otherwise people might not actually know what it means.
true that. We'll go S Africa.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, so Ryan, you also on the Australian comeback train for Group B?
I can't anymore. We can't all be right at the same time, so I'm going to go Germany.
Germany.
Germany will be fine.
All right, Will?
We'll win Australia, I think.
I'm still going Australia.
You're still going Australia?
I gotta give those boys some faith there.
All right, and give me the team names one more time. Sorry, I was trying to quickly prep this.
Germany, Brazil, Colombia, Greece, and Australia.
I'm going Brazil. Team Brazil.
Yeah.
Let's go.
All right.
All right, Group C.
Now, this is XTC, not the World Cup, okay? Just so you know.
All right, so you're guessing.
Oh, yeah, no, Group C, sorry. So Group C is,
Group C?
Group C starts off with the United States of America, Canada, Hungary, Serbia, and Switzerland.
The battle for North America.
Yeah.
So
I think.
know it's
So
might be a
Switzerland was
spoiler.
a seeded team. So Switzerland was one of the top 10 teams last year. So
Okay.
there's USA, Switzerland, and Canada, which I think are probably the front runners, but Hungary did amazing last year. Like they played spoiler really bad, really well, and then Serbia is just they always got good players. So
Just so I know,
It'll be an interesting
only
one.
team makes it out of each group.
Two.
Right? Two. Okay.
But we're guessing on the winner.
Yeah, our favorite one. That's fine.
You basically you have a 50. You're trying to guess one of the two to make it out.
No, you're
Right.
trying to guess who's on top at the end.
Who's on top?
Number one overall.
Yeah.
All right. So I mean, Ryan, are you going USA?
Yeah, of course.
All right.
We're gonna knock it out of the water. We're gonna show Canada who owns the North America.
That's right.
Also, why couldn't we have this in the? I mean, I hope Canada makes it further so we can beat them again.
Oh, got him.
Yeah.
Got him.
Yeah.
Got him.
We'll welcome our North American brothers into the cut and then demolish them.
All right.
Group D is the Pirate, so that's Fun Walk and team.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I mean they've got some good players. Like Nicholas God is on there. I mean they've got
that's a
got some
Say,
players.
give me this whole pirate concept.
I
'cause I
need
feel
the-
like this is just some people that wanted to make an all-star team or something. What was this allowed?
Well,
what is this?
According to them, now this is according to them.
Who's them?
Them is the team itself. It's like, oh, we wanted to make a team that probably is not a favorite and blah blah blah. But then they took all the best players for the teams that didn't make a team, and they're like, oh, come over here. So
Do they have a flag?
yeah, it's like a
Pirate
skull
flag?
thing or something. Yeah.
They're going with the
This seems
Jolly
very
Roger.
Fishy. This seems very fishy.
Yeah.
Who are the participants of this?
So we'll say the players.
I can do it real fast. You got Fun Walk as team captain. Tom Felsend, not familiar with this man. You have Andrew, also known as Yellow Jacket Pim.
He's good.
You have Matt Coggins.
He's good.
Alza Gall, better known as
He's good. He's
Ernesto
really good.
Ramanukas.
Yeah.
You have the Viking god himself, Nicholas God, as your 5 players. So they got some talent in there.
There's some talent. There's some talent there. Okay.
Yeah, rogue internet agents coming together.
Yeah. So you have the Pirates, England. This is Austria, AUT, not AUS. France, and is that the Philippines?
That is the Philippines.
Okay,
I'm gonna throw out my bet for Pirates right
Go ahead.
now.
You're going straight Pirates?
Yeah, England, France. You can't outbest those Pirates. They live on the internet. They breathe that salty sea air all the time.
You know what? I'm gonna go left field here, and I'm gonna say Austria.
Oh, you're gonna go for the new kids on the block.
Yeah, I say that they last year they were just like scoping the field and being like, okay, what do we got to do? So I'm gonna go Austria.
Ryan?
Now I have an idea who's on Team England or no?
Yeah.
Bunch of English people.
Yeah, but there's a lot of them that we're aware of by now.
Lots of governors.
You can't just generalize for their whole nation. Come on.
No, because apparently they get like three XTC teams for all of United Kingdom. United States only gets 1.
Oh well,
We regionalize us a little bit.
We
equalize that out.
we didn't want all in all USA top 4, so we're gonna stick to one team this year. Maybe in the future. We have Ollie flying Rebels. You have Dom Flanagan flying Empire. Dan Athe at Ate. I don't know why I can't pronounce that. Flying Scum, Liam Baker in the First Order, and Tim King in the Grand Republic. So some pretty big names still made the team.
Won't be enough, France.
I am also going Team France. I'm also going Team France. They've always performed pretty well. Seems like it seems a little safe, but I think it's a good bet. It's a good bet.
It's a good bet. Okay.
All right, and what about Group E?
Why didn't none of us go England?
We don't believe.
We have a bit of rivalry. All right. You come over here, we'll dunk your tea in the harbor. All right. That's how we play England.
Sorry, we're feeling a little feisty. The 4th of July is around the corner. You know, gotta have it. Gotta have it.
All right. So Group E, it's North Ireland, Scotland, Italy, Mexico, and Daniel Leon and his Norwegian, Norway and their traitorous Leon. So that's Norway, Mexico, Scotland, Ireland, and Italy. And I am going to put my money on Mexico.
Going to Mexico.
Yeah, Mexico, arriba, ándale, 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 ay! I can't scream like that, but I would if I could.
All right. I'm in pizza. I trust. I'm going Italy. I'm going Italy. They like to be angry about everything, so I'm hoping they can take that passion and put it into the game. Let's go. I need some of this. Okay? All right, who's up? Will? Ryan?
I will take All Ireland. They still have a lot of good players. Looking great overall.
So wasn't it Ireland that did the best? It was Ireland
Is it
better
all
than
Ireland,
Scotland
not North
last year,
Ireland?
right?
Scotland,
Yes.
Ireland made the top 10. Scotland did not.
All right, Ireland.
Ireland made the top 10, and then we're like the second worst stuff.
Yeah, I mean, but they made it in there, though.
Yeah, they made it in.
That's what matters.
Italy won, but when was the last time the winner?
Just like Poland a couple years ago.
I mean, did they go back to back, or did they? Okay.
Oh, I think
From-
Poland went back to back,
Yeah, at one point.
or something like
Ain't
that.
happening now in Ireland.
Yeah, it's
No more pizza.
all right. Well, there you go. We have our XTC group stage not top 3 predictions. That's a lie. Top
in stage. Your top in group.
Top in group predictions. So we'll go ahead and we will reference this document when we return later this year. What's the schedule like? How many weeks and all that? When does the group stage end? That's the point of what I'm looking for.
Okay. So, as I said, the 5 rounds are played this week through the week of the 25th. All teams will have a bye in there at some point. And then the finals will be August. I forgot July exists. Will be August 27th and 28th. They'll probably be streamed on multiple channels, but that is to be determined right now. Those logistical details.
Yeah.
Though I do have some more details for you, Dion.
I like details. Details are fun.
So there was a reduction in the team size, and specifically the amount of list that you're going to bring. Before it was 7, now just 5. But that means, though, that there's 2 factions left on the table for every team. Now, to nobody's surprise, there was 25 for 25 for the Empire and the Rebellion. Every single faction took one of those 2 factions. Not surprised there. After that, though, 18 teams took a scum list, 17 took First Order, 14 for CIS, 14 for Republic, and just 12 Resistance squads were entered in for the teams. Can you really extrapolate from that, Dion?
I don't know. I'd like to hear Ryan's opinion on it.
So, out of the team information we have, or the factions, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, some of the, as I said, some of them were pretty obvious, but I think what stands out is Scum's actually kind of high, and Scum hasn't exactly performed like super well in events. I mean, there's been a couple things that shot up here and there. Interested to see what people come up with. Granted, I think a lot of international players enjoy Scum. Not to say U.S. or North American don't, but I see a lot of Scum play a lot on the international player base.
Yep.
When I watch streams of, at times while I work, because, you know, time zone changes. I work, they're not at work. Play X-Wing games online. First Order doesn't surprise me. I think everything else kind of lays where it's at. I was just surprised that maybe Scum wasn't down a notch or two. Wasn't far from it, but I thought maybe Republic or Separatists might be in that top 4, and Scum would drop down to the bottom 3.
Very cool.
Oh man, I thought it might have something to do with the new Rogue class Starfighter, Cad Bane flying around. Here's a sad stat, though. There are 3 Scum Cad pilots. There are 2 Cad Bane crew in the whole tournament. So
People actually using Cad Bane crew?
it was on a drop seat bay mall where you could launch a commando, then boost. Then the other one.
Ryan, can you remind us what Cad Bane crew does? That's an old code.
Without even having to look at it, I think it's something along the lines of when you drop a device, you may perform a red boost action.
That is exactly correct. So we also see it on an Iman Azamin, the bomb dropping fire spray. So a fun little trick there for dropping bombs. Yeah, I don't know who's launching it though. Skirgs, maybe?
Technically, a chaff cloud's a device.
Those chaff clouds. Everything's
I don't know why you'd be throwing out. Well, you could throw out a cloud one way and boost the other.
True. For your fire spray fans, you could certainly do that in Scum. So yeah, it's not the Rogue class Starfighter, whatever that thing's called. But I think I have to agree with you. Yeah, I mean Scum's never been out of favors.
Are there?
How many gauntlets are there? Let me see.
While you're looking that up, one thing that I heard somewhere is that Team Malaysia, all 5 of their squads has Hondo crew.
What?
So they have Hondo crew on all 5 of their squads.
Okay. Well, I mean, if you like, you can always coordinate. You can always jam, right? Like you got options. You got options.
I always have options. Yeah, please.
All right. Now, there was another question I had. It's on the tip of my tongue. So we talked about how the group stage works. We got 2 teams out of the group stage ends up making the finals. Since we have obviously two of the players for Team USA. Let's go ahead. You know what? I remembered pairings. How do pairings work? Can you remind us how? Because that is the game inside the game, right?
Yes, it is. So a little bit simplified this year with only 5 teams, so there's just less to pair essentially, but it works the same way. What they have, what they call attackers and defenders. So I'm going to each team for the 2 rounds that you pair. Maybe ignore that. Maybe we're saying rounds. It doesn't make sense. Anyways, I'm going to put down a list. Let's say my first order list. Dion, you're the team I'm facing. You're going to put down a secret list as well. Let's say Scum for you. We'll reveal our list, and then we get to put 2 defenders to the 1 attacker. So you gave me your Scum list. I'm going to pair Rebels and Empire against it. I gave you my first order list. You pair your CIS and Grand Republic against it. And then those potential defenders go back to me. I choose one of the 2 that you gave me, one of the 2 options. You do the same, and that has then created 2 matchups. My first order, and then your Scum and their opponents. Those are set aside, and then we have 3 teams left. So we do the exact same thing. I'll put down an attacker secretly with you, and then we put down 2 secret defenders. Well, the defenders are revealed when you're handed them to the opponent. Then that will create the other 3 matchups. So as far as the differences, now like a regular tournament, a regular list, you have to be conscious of all matchups. And that is different in XTC or any team-based tournament. You can have specific lists to counter other things, or like this is our like anti-swarm list. This is something we want to pair into, you know, a Darth Vader defender list. So there is a little bit more play for that. Like full transparency, I think we at Team USA, we just took 5 good lists, and then we're just going to make the pairings the best we can. The only one that was I was on the fence about was our first order list. I actually dropped my Kyber list, which it's a little aggressive, and stole Crispy's
It's good.
Kylo silencer and 2 chaff clouds, or not silencer. He's flying Whisper.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, actually, I flew that list this week during League.
Oh,
It's
nice.
nasty. It's nasty. It's very good.
You can't make like straight attack runs at the bombers.
Yeah.
Without with those chaff clouds out, it's terrifying. Kylo's just a menace of a turret. Kylo silencer got back, that's for sure. And but other than that, as far as the different ways to pair, that's where what you said, the extra level of strategy comes in, because you need to know what your kind of take all comers list is for your first attacker, right? You can't throw down something that someone could easily counter twice, right? You throw down Darth Vader defender down, and they're like, well, here's my 2 counters for that. You kind of need something that doesn't have exactly an exact counter, or something that can pull a counter away from somebody else, right? So if you're like the boogeyman right now, obviously Luke Wedge, very successful, very terrifying, those proton torpedoes. So if you could engineer a way to, say, pair that with a weaker list, some list that, say, it doesn't have a good matchup against any of the opponent's teams, you could pair it against their best team and kind of take it out of their running. So that creates these, in team tournaments, not exactly like a drop, but we call it throwing you under the bus. I'm just you're not expected to win this. We're sorry, but
well, and I
try your best.
And here's I guess a question that I just want to throw out to the 3 of you. In a team format like this, I mean, there's 5 games going on. Your goal is to win to win that round versus that team, which means you win 3 out of the 5 games, correct? Just want to make sure that I understand that, right? So,
Yeah.
I guess obviously, I know that I am a close observer of what is going on in Team USA. So, like, I think the all-comer... I would like to know Ryan's thoughts, and since he's in a similar place with me where it's like we're connected but not participating actively, that strategy of bringing all-comers versus, like, what I'm going to call meta lists to get those 3 out of 5 wins.
So, I mean, a lot of it does depend on the specific pairing process. I think the last time I was part of a team event for pairing process was Crate Cup 4 in person. And I think I've done an online one that was like state related. But beyond that, I would say when building this, and I think if out of an odd number of lists, you don't want more meta counters than all comers. You won't. I would say you got to take kind of the safer route. I would want if I had to build 5 lists, I would want 3. Not like actually like this doesn't do good specifically against anything. It's a jack of all trades, but like I think everything has something it's good against and it's not good against. But it's how much it sways into that extreme of how much it's really teching against something or how much it really gets hurt by if it gets paired by something, right? And that's where it's the job of the coach and the captain to make sure that that doesn't happen in the negative end for you, and you can try to make it happen on the positive end for you. Generally, it's pretty hard to engineer a really extreme either way, as long as both captains have a general good grasp of how to pair correctly. You'll generally get something that's more along the lines, especially now, because I feel like there are less real true counter, like you're going to lose 60% or more of the time. I think it's really tight right now in how the game is played because of scenarios too. Scenarios can change how things end up. So just looking at a list like right at each other, you can't really say for sure on like a 60-40 even if a list is going to beat another one, if the scenario could swing it one way or the other. And actually that brings me to a question.
Yep, and got it.
How are scenarios determined for XTC?
The 4 rounds of the group stage are determined randomly. So we'll play all 4
So you know before
scenarios.
you're trying to pair things what scenario you're playing.
Yeah, there was some talks early on about that the teams would play 5 different scenarios throughout their 5 matchups. We would pair teams, we'd paired lists, and then we'd assign scenarios to each list. I think was the idea of it. That was just totally scrapped. It's just too much.
Yeah, it sounds way too complicated of a pairing setup to like try and pair scenarios and lists. Just make an entire round that scenario and call it. I think it's probably the best way to do it. So
and that's what they ended on.
It's easier for a coach and captain to maintain like, all right, now I know the scenario, and now I can try and find my matchups that are. So you might find, I'm pretty sure in all list matchups, if the scenario is known across the board, so all the lists is the same, that there probably is going to be like one swingy for each like team versus team, but because it's only one, both teams are going to try to avoid it in the first place. So it's likely not going to happen in the pairing process. Like I said, if the captains study to know what to avoid or what to try and pair. So being that as it is, scenario known, you may get some 60-40s, but I think most games right now land a lot in the 55-45s right now. Like one looks like that one's probably going to win. And you got to play the scenario, though, too. Like, that can change and flip how things end up because of objective scoring. I mean, sure, we feel like Chaff Cloud is a good counter to Rebel Alphas right now. That doesn't mean you're going to win the game.
Nope.
It's just a tool you have to help solve a problem that you see in front of you as, I don't want to be torped to death before my ships ever shoot. Well, bring Chaff Clouds, they'll help, but you still need to execute.
Right.
The rebels don't have to stay in formation. Even if they do take swarm tactics, they'll be like, well, you know what? That swarm tactics probably isn't worth me staying in one giant group and being chaffed everyone. So let's split up and attack from multiple vectors
Right.
and make them pick the thing they want to chaff.
A great extrapolation of that is the game in like a chance engagement versus assault at the satellite array. Like those are those two situations where a Rebel Alpha, for instance, can play very differently, and if you're quote unquote defending against that with Chaff Clouds or whatever your list is, your approach may need to be different depending on what it is. So,
Like, I remember watching a game recently where I saw a full standard Rebel Alpha. We're talking our Dutch, Fen, Wedge, Luke, right?
mm-hmm.
Lined up across the board, because they went with the rules of in Scramble, you could put them right next to each other for now, right? I actually think we got a clarification in the rules.
It has been clarified.
We did,
You can
yes.
do that. It's intended. But anyway, 4 Resistance Y-Wings lined up across from it with Poe on a flank. And you would think, like, well, the Rebels just going to kill a Y-Wing one turn, kill the next turn. Problem, someone didn't rule 11 correctly. They were just outside of range 3, and the Resistance Y-Wings have boost side arcs and turrets, so they just ran right in there.
Y-Wing go zoom.
3 into 1. They got all the Rebel ships got stuck in ion and bombs, and like Luke and Wedge were dead by like the second engagement turn. They just got destroyed with bombs. So, like, yeah, on paper you're like, oh, they'll just kill 2 Y-Wings and win the game easy. Like, no.
You have to actually execute, and the person across the table gets a choice.
Neo, do you have a Rule 11 video? You made one of those for GS?
We had one. I took it down because it referred to a bunch of first edition stuff. We need a updated Rule of 11.
An updated
Yeah,
one. I think a lot of people may not know what that even is.
true.
And on top of that, actually very helpful for scenarios and knowing how far you can go, especially in this Rebel Alpha meta right now, where controlling range bands and distances can be the key to winning or losing those games.
So here's a question for our Team USA players. There are 4 scenarios. Which one would you say for you personally is your weakest? Which one would you say with your list you go a little bit like, I don't feel as confident in that one versus the others?
I still do not feel comfortable with any list and salvage mission. Take your action away. You had to protect against crates, and now you can't be fast. Oh, man, I feel like every time I play it, I'm just like strangled by.
You're winging it. You're winging it.
Yeah, I'm just like, man. I have it's just for the way I've been trying to fly lately, which is getting away from slow turrets or 180 ships, which are basically turrets, and trying to force myself to fly more like front arc speedy ships. It has been disastrous. Colby, just a big frown on his face the whole time he's towing something around.
Job to pick it up.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was like.
But sometimes somebody else got to pick it up. You're like, I think I need this to win.
Sometimes we got more than one ship.
I feel like salvage, generally you can find that one ship in your list that can be like, all right, you could pick up one. Help me make sure I'm not too far behind in points in the early game. But I'm really just here to like kill, win the attrition, and then pick up crates later when I know I'm not threatened to close out the game.
Yeah. It's been less of like, can I can I go without maneuvering and more? How soon am I going to eat a crit? Like you, because with all the crit shenanigans, malice, proton torpedoes flying around right now, just slapping marksmanship on ships who have extra loadout. You might not be holding that crate for very long. I've been using that strategy against other people. Just set up all your ships, just waiting for them to pick up a crate, throw a proton torpedo into them. It works out great sometimes, but yeah. So the salvage mission still giving me troubles. What about you, Marcel?
I haven't played enough with my list, but just in my head, I would say the chance encounter would probably be the one, because again, I'm flying Django plus 5, and the action ones, whether you carry and take, or the ones that you action to flip. I have enough ships to be able to do that. Plus, I have a coordinator with Django and Palpatine, so I have enough ships to deal with that. And more than anything, defensively, I want the opponent to be like, because I had Trade Federation drones at the end of the day, so they pop. So anything that takes a target lock away from somebody, it's like, okay, we're gonna be in here now. Are you gonna take that point, or are you going to take your action to try to shoot and kill me? So those, and then the one that you hover around, I think the struts on the 5 CIS ships tends to, and one of them, I think it was the one I played against you, William, I forgot, but I played against you or somebody else. I basically just parked a Trade Federation drone exactly, a rock exactly in between 2, and he just stayed there collecting 2 points every turn, while the rest of the fight was happening somewhere else. So that one is well. So that's probably why I think the chance engagement, because it's with so much office strike and so much firepower out there, the drones can pop pretty quickly. So I want people to be focused other places, like, I need to go do that, I need to go do that, I need to go do that, versus, I need to kill that drone that's going to die in 2 shots.
Oh yeah. You gotta watch out for those cluster missiles, Marcel. That's the scariest stuff out there.
Yeah.
That Darth Vader being like, dead.
I haven't gotten caught by one of them, because they're all independent calculations, so they tend to be spread out a little bit.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, 3 dice still kills them anyway.
Suffered the cluster missile barrage by Vader with droids, and it is very sad because he malices both of them, which means they're crits, and usually those are dead droids.
F's in the chat for all the vultures being slain by Vader. All right, so we are going to keep you guys updated on the XTC. As it becomes available and works with our schedule, we'll cover games. We'll definitely, be checking in with Team USA each week, see how things have gone. You guys haven't played any games for round 1 yet, correct? Those are all scheduled for I think I saw Saturday and Friday, most of them.
Yep. Most of the time, because we are playing Europeans, they either had to stay up very late, or we had to play them in the morning.
Mm-hmm. And what team are you guys playing against this week?
We have
Switzerland.
Oh yeah, Switzerland.
It basically is 2 seeded teams playing each other. So the 2 teams that made the final last year are up first this time.
All right.
That's how they did the groups. They split up all of the as you call them, seeded teams, and then sprinkled in the unseeded ones. Mm-hmm. So there's just not a group that's Germany, Italy, England, United States, and Canada, something like that, right?
Right.
Well, you're throwing Canada in there like Canada did something. Come on.
No.
I'm gonna shrug. I shrugged and said Canada, but yeah.
Spicy.
Love you guys. Love all my American teams, but yeah, hope to see you there. We'll say that.
All right. Cool. Now, before we jump into a last couple of things, before we get to Obi-Wan Kenobi, we got a couple of lists of the week. A couple of things I forgot to add into announcements at the beginning. So next Monday, I personally will not be available for the podcast because I will be visiting family where I will not have access to technology for the podcast. So not sure if we'll have a cast. Maybe Will, Marcel, and Ryan, if you guys want to drive the boat next week, maybe we can figure that out. So not sure if we'll have a cast next week, but watch out for that. Happy 4th of July for those of you who are celebrating. There was something else. I'm not sure. Maybe they'll have a special guest. All right. But anyway, let's jump into it. We have 2 lists of the week submissions. The first one comes from Discord name I Eat Children. All right. So very nice. Very nice. Very aggressive name. Let's go ahead and get this to fit our screen so that we can take a look. So our list before any modifications, it is a 3-ship resistance list. We have Rey, Poe. This is the trigger happy flyboy Poe, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. And then Jessica Pava in the T-70. So we have Rey with Foresight, Han Solo, crew, rig cargo chute, Rey's Millennium Falcon, marksmanship, novice technician, and Finn gunner. Poe has elusive ferrosphere paint, munitions failsafe, integrated airfoils, underslung blaster cannon, L4E-R5. That is a droid that gives you the rotate to calculate action. The advanced proton torpedoes, spare parts canister, and the Black One title. Jessica Pava has targeting synchronizer, R3 astromech to double up those target locks, spare parts canister, underslung blaster as well, and S foils. Now this didn't have any type of precursor text, anything, but when I looked at it, I was like, this is an interesting set of upgrades. It's not something I've seen. Like, especially seeing Poe and Jess with the underslung blasters out there. And I was wondering, what could we dissect what is trying to be done in this list? Because it's not traditional. I'll put that out there. It doesn't feel traditional like what these ships usually like to do. Opening up the floor. What do you guys think?
Well, the first thing, before I get into like any of Rey's or Poe's upgrades, the thought process of trying to get the underslung blasters to work makes me want to change the pilot from Jess, who is very good, but she needs to take that target lock action to be doing her combination of the synchronizer, which lets Poe do it without the lock. Because obviously she could do it herself, right, with her own lock. So I actually want to look at Lieutenant Bastion, who gets free target locks. Could be a way to build up these locks and then use them for the underslung blaster cannon. Now it does get like 2 points of extra loadout, which I guess you had to take electronic baffle instead of the other thing, the spare parts canisters. I'm not really sure if there's another option. I mean, other than reaching for like an I-5 to take target locks better. Something like 9 or even Tam and Wexley with the free boost But I think that just not the red X-wing for the job. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think one of the other questions I had with Jess Pava is this. I'm not sure how this list would do in something like Assault at the Satellite Array, where you're going to have to probably spread out at least a little bit more. I would be a little worried for Jess. Jess's value at 5 points is also her ability, right? She likes to be in formation. She likes to have those friends around, but I'm not sure how often that ability is gonna go off.
Sure. Now, I mean, I could see something like if you just brought her in as like an M9G8 carrier, and it's just like flew her next to Rey as kind of a support piece that way. I could see it. But trying to fly next to Poe. Now, this isn't Overdrive Poe.
It is not.
No. So I guess they might be able to stay closer, but is Overdrive something you guys have to put on your posts? Is it like a must have?
I'd highly recommend it. I mean, it Black One's free, right? I feel like that's an early turn positional tool. Mm-hmm. Overdrive lets you nope out or opt in really hard.
I like that.
And like more than almost any other ship right now, because you could just be like, all right, I don't like where this is. I'm just gonna focus and like 2 barrel roll decloak that way. Mm-hmm. Or I'd be like, I want some of this. Just focus 2 bank boost.
Yep.
He can go so conservative and still go really hard in with his actions at I6. Or he can go really aggressive, as long as he doesn't get blocked, and leave.
So now, I know that we didn't have any context with this list. Do you think this is an underslung blaster cannon list, or is this a Rey 2 X-wing list? Like, Marcel, what's the feel that you're getting here?
I'm not a fan of the underslung at all. You need to have probably 4 of them out there in order for it to be meaningful, and you need to have ways of accumulating free target locks to do it. So just because of that, I don't see this. I see the underslung as just kind of wasted. A 2 dice shot every now and again it's not going to be that useful, especially in situations where it's coming in a higher initiative ship like Poe Dameron. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I would completely. I'm not a fan of underslung at all, and not in this list. I was playing around with rebuilding it, and the list completely morphed into a heavy-hitting Rey, a heavy-hitting Poe with overdrive and proton torpedoes, and either ZZ with proton rockets, advanced optics, or a loaded Zori Bliss, also throwing 4 dice out there. So just make it a very serious Alpha Strike list with you can get basically at shooting 2 torpedoes at initiative 6 and then Rey cleaning up at initiative 5.
All right, well, I have an idea.
Yeah, so I don't see this as an underslung. I see this as a heavy hitting list with Rey and Poe, because Poe's got the advanced proton torpedo, and the underslung and Jess are just out of place.
All right, so let's rebuild. Let's build from the ground up together. But my challenge, what I want to do is I want to try to keep at least the pilots, because let's say this player does not own any RZ-2A wings. All right, all we have is a Falcon and 2 X-wing, 2 T-70s of our choice. I'm assuming we're keeping Rey. I'm assuming we're keeping Poe. Upgrades are blank. I'll go ahead and and clear these out.
I vote Temin Wexley.
Temin
one.
Temin Wexley. Tell me why.
Does anyone say all right? So I will speak my piece as to why. Free boost, good. So afterburners go up to 10 points. He has built-in afterburners, but even better because he can do it at speed 2 or higher, but can't do it while stressed. So there's a little bit of the option there. Could equip prime thrusters on him if you want. Not super necessary, but he has a nice loadout that you can utilize. You can do heavy laser cannon, R6D8, and ferrosphere paint. That's kind of what I like on him, but I think just a lot of the focus is generally going to be on Rey and Poe, probably Rey for opponents to burn down. That should give Temin Wexley some pretty solid free reign. Get in there and do some pretty good damage.
All right, well let's go ahead and so we're thinking I'm fine with Temin. Temin in objectives feels good. He's not quite as, like you said, opt in or nope out as Poe, but he's got at least a little bit of that flavor with it, right? I like it. So what was that build out you had on Temin? Like, one more time?
I did HLC R6D8, the Super Predator droid, and you can go Ferrosphere, you can go Crack Shot, whatever you want to do with the last 3
Let's
points.
go. Let's go paint. Let's go paint.
Yeah.
All right, Will, build me a Poe.
Okay. So two must-haves for Poe. Assuming you're not doing any underslunging.
No.
You gotta have in that we
were about to call it a proton torpedo slot.
They got that proton torpedo slot. Yes, they do. That's exactly. I like the long-range proton torpedoes. You want to hang back a little bit. Don't always need to be diving in. It sounded pretty unanimous for the overdrive thrusters, so they're in as well. I think R4 to get those hard 2 blues to clear stress must have. Probably heroic over elusive as my talent. And then let me check and see if there's really any 4-point thing I would like to strap to this guy. And I think I would rather have the Ferrosphere paint and the munitions failsafe, I guess.
Just in case.
And a jamming beam. Just to load up all my slots here. Might be the way, obviously very traditional here. Nothing too fancy about this black one, Poe, but does all the things you need it to do, which is be able to hit hard and then also fly fast.
Cool. And Marcel, what about that Rey? Let's fill up that Rey.
All right, so we're going to start with the title, Millennium Falcon title. Get a, you got to go with Finn Gunner. So Finn Gunner and Rose Tico, those are requirements.
They're pretty much staples, right? For Rey.
And then with the remaining 7 points, I would go with false transponder codes. Kind of either save somebody from torpedoes or save yourself from torpedoes or something like that. Or in the lower initiative ship, just prime it for death. And then with the last one, I mean, you've got a lot of options here, but I personally would probably go with Chewbacca.
Really? No heroic, huh?
No heroic. And I would probably go with Chewbacca.
Chewbacca with only 2 other ships?
Well, that only allows you to use it once.
Twice, right? So Chewbacca,
No, it's
Chewbacca crew.
2 charges.
After a
You're
friendly
right,
ship
yeah.
at range 0 to 3 is dealt 1 damage card, recover 1 force, 1 charge. While you perform an attack, you may spend 2 charges to change 1 focus to a crit result. So are you leaning into salvage?
That makes sense. Yeah, no, that makes sense. So I would, so probably go heroic, and then I think novice technician, which I believe lets you, in case you get critted, flip it back up, right? Salud.
Nobody heard it. It was a secret. Novice.
Did you unmute yourself?
I did.
Okay.
So novice is the one that lets you try to get rid of a crit, right?
Yeah, end phase, you can flip it down, roll a dice. On a hit, you have to randomly flip one back up.
Yeah. So I'll probably go with that because Ray critted is not fun.
All right, well, there you go. So we built out a different Ray, Poe, and an X-Wing. We chose Temin. And
now, you can also go Nien. I think Temin is also a good call, but you can't go wrong with Nien and Pattern Analyzer.
I think it's a different play style, though, right? Like it feels very, very different. Because I would tell you, like you make a couple wrong calls with those turnaround maneuvers where you're not actually getting that ability off, and then you're sad. You're just sad.
Nien is pretty decent with Pattern Analyzer and Lone Wolf in a 3-ship list.
All right, so something else to consider there, Mr. I Eat Children, or friend I Eat Children. So we'll go ahead and we'll send that off to you after the show, so that we can do that. And we got one more before we hit our Obi-Wan discussion. This one comes from Zach to the Future. It is a first order list. We got 5 ships. We got Major Von Reg with Daredevil, Deuterium, Power Cells, and Shield Upgrade. Hollow in that TIE BA with Proud Tradition, Power Cells, and Electronic Baffle. Then we have 3 TIE FO fighters. We have Commander Malrus with Fanatical and Cluster Missiles, Static with just Predator, and Scorch with Fanatical, Predator, and Advanced Optics for 20 points. Thoughts on this going? Hollow is a name I have not heard in a long time or seen out there. Thoughts?
So let me. I love Hollow. Play him all the time. So Hollow's ability at the start of combat, you can throw a token of yours to a friendly at range 0 to 2. Now, this list has the backbone of Deuterium Power Cells, 2 charges. You can either take a weapons disabled and get a shield, very similar to an R2 Astromech, RIP, or you can use it to trade in tokens, non-lock tokens, for stress tokens. So Hollow, with this, can actually throw away that weapons disabled token, or even like Major Von Reg can burn both charges to get a weapons disable and a shield, then trade in that weapons disabled for a stress to then just like clear with blue maneuver. So that's very interesting. Sad to see no Pattern Analyzer, though. I really like Proud and Pattern together on the Interceptor. But they're leaning into extra health here, which after running hull upgrade for so long on so many 4 health ships, man, it does make you really notice the difference between a 4 and 5 health 3 agility ship. So try to emulate something for that. Take the 3 best FO fighters, in my opinion, because they can roll extra attack dice. Malrus, Static with the Ion, and Scorch. I
missed the Ion Cannon when I was reading it off. Sorry about that. Static has Predator and Ion Cannon.
Yeah, so they all have a way to easily get 3 attack dice, which is the dream you're chasing, I think, at 3 points. I don't like Major Von Reg. He's good, but I don't. That's not my style. I don't think the barrel out hard turn back in. Not my style. So really, my eyes are just drawn to those power cells.
Mm-hmm. I mean, so the Deuterium power cells don't cost you an action, right? It's just something that you do. What's
Something
the
you
trigger
do.
for that one?
It's system phase.
It's in a system phase. All right.
So
So
spend a charge, gain 1 disarm token to recover 1 shield. And then that next sentence, before you would gain 1 non-lock token. If you are not stressed, you may spend 1 charge to gain 1 stress token instead.
Yep. So you can do funny things like Hollow actually can swap out when he takes a lock with a ship ability. Normally you take a strain or deplete. Depurium Power Cells actually lets you take a stress for that target lock instead of the strain, and then can still focus with Proud Tradition. That's like
Hollow can pass the stress off. Whoosh.
there you go. Yeah, that's like the combo that's in the box, right?
all right.
Even with that Deterring Power Cell in mind, though, it's hard to not, like you said, go for Pattern Analyzer on Hollow. Just when you do a red move, be a defender. Focus evade, easy.
Yeah.
Or focus lock when you have the opportunity. I think I'd also take Predator off static and go Proud Tradition. It's pretty nice for that shot,
yes.
and I can it to be modded even when you do red moves, such as sloops and K-turns. I think the loadout on Scorch is great, makes sense, very modded, very aggressive. I was kind of messing around with what you can do with Von Reg. This is just a very healthy Von Reg, but it doesn't do anything like extra. I would probably, let's see.
Called out, saying nice, Von Reg, you're not special. You a basic ship.
This Von Reg is just a little thicker. You either go like super thick, which you can't, or you do something a little extra. Which I think when you're I6, there's plenty of alpha in the meta. You got some pretty good repositioning. Mag pulse missiles.
Okay, so that gives you a little bit of, you have some critical damage out there for salvage. You got the jam, deplete.
Yep.
All right.
Honestly, I don't know if I go trick shot or if I just take like munitions fail safe and crack shot. That's like the last 4 points. Also, that's all set for Von Reg. You could probably play around with it a little more, but you need I think you need a reason to take Von Reg other than here's a slightly healthier I6 ship, because so many I6 ships right now are doing more than that. But
What else could you get for 6 points in FO? What else?
I mean, Whisper Kylo. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure you can get Quick Draw for 6 points.
Kylo. That's a good call.
Yeah, Quick Draw is also 6 points, and apparently
Take
25.
everything, but it's
Yeah.
still an SF and will probably die.
Yeah,
It will kill a lot, maybe. Depends.
it'll take
it's fine
so
for it to
many
die.
actions until it dies.
Yeah. So I'm still kind of questioning why people are putting cluster missiles on Malbris instead of just taking
It's
concussion
the
missiles.
it's the potential for 2 attacks
We're seeing
modified.
ship counts go down though.
Hey, you're preaching to the choir over here. I like the long range
But
attacks.
what if I joust? It feels good to joust with
I like the
Malris.
range. I like
I'm
the
pretty
I5
sure you
range
joust
3.
better
but-
with concussion missiles than cluster missiles, though, because at range 3, your shot's going to matter, and then you get to range 1, your shot's going to matter.
But I get to shoot twice, Ryan.
Sometimes. And that sometimes is probably lower than 40%.
I still like the cluster, personally.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Because-
I mean,
because it forces you to fly with that in mind. It forces you to split up purposely, and
I'm actually not going to split up about that. I care so little about that.
well, you shouldn't.
I'll
If
kill
you're
other
flying,
things first.
yeah, if you're flying, it's a 3-point ship. And if you're saying, okay, I'm going to let your initiative 5, both of your shots are going to be modded, three dice. I'm going to let you do that this turn. And, oh, by the way, you can do it again next turn as well, because you can, 2 charges on it. I'm okay like that. If you give me those shots, I'm going to take those shots.
I mean, I'm not going to make it easy for you, but I'm not going to go out of my way to just like. So if I'm a TIE Swarm, as an example, right?
Mhm.
I'm not going to split up just because I see a Malrus with cluster missiles.
Exactly. You're not going to split up because you see it, but in that situation, the cluster missiles are going to do more work than the concussion missiles. So the cluster missile in that situation is still the better call. And
In a
if
TIE Swarm matchup, which is
in
a
TIE
small
Swarm,
percentage of the meta, right?
Well, I think we could say like all 5 to 8 ship squads, right? Now, as this list does have low amount of health, high agility, something like a lot of guns could be a weakness. So it might be less the optimal and trying to cover what your potentially bad matchup is.
Here's a question about this list. In chance engagement, I understand how this list wants to fly, right? You probably have the 3 TIE fighters hanging out near Hollow. It's kind of more of a traditional 2.0 type of style, right? You want the TIE fighters around so that Hollow can do her thing, to be able to have somebody around, and Von Reg is able to kind of solo and do its own thing. I worry. Is this list too? If it's gonna fly that way, is it too? What's the word I'm looking for? Is it too? Is it stuck? Is it too nailed down in a formation-esque? What are your thoughts?
No.
You don't have to formation this at all. You can You could start in a tight-ish area, but I mean, like Will's flown in, like I've flown Hollow in the past with some FOs. You just kind of like lightly spread them around Hollow. Hollow will find someone to pass it to, but like they can take different vectors pretty easily. You have someone who can cut down the diagonal, someone who could go underneath and cut back up straight, and someone who follows up and cuts across and end up still in the same zone. Then Hollow can, help them defensively, or help Hollow be double modded without taking negatives.
There you go.
Yeah, as far as list
there was the
archetype-
PSA. There was the PSA. Okay.
True. Actually, thinking about list archetypes, this actually reminds me of an oldie but a goodie, which was X1 Vader, Soontir, and 3 Academies that we saw for a long, long time in second edition. But man, what for dropping to first order aces? Wow, your Academies really get some serious upgrades. But that's how I mentioned it. Yeah, like you have 3 frontline troops and then 2 aces. Hollow's more of like Vader, where it's a brawler than an arc dodger, but still the same.
So, I mean, Marcel, I will allow you to poke at it first here. What do you want me to do?
weren't we poking at it already?
I guess we started poking at it slightly. We tweaked.
I'm done poking. I've done it.
Do you want to do anything about the power cells?
Yeah, they don't need to be there.
All right, what are we replacing it with?
And which one?
I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and
It don't matter.
delete them both.
Fun times. Go with what did I put on it? On Von Reg, I'd go Advanced Optics and Mag Pulse work. Mag Pulse, but you have to drop down to marksmanship in order to get the Mag Pulse in. And I think the Mag Pulse at Initiative 6 is kind of a requirement to keep your other ships alive. If you move first and Wedge is shooting you, yeah, you need to jam that thing. So you want to be able to, strip some more than the damage output. You want to be able to strip some target locks to keep your other ships alive. And Advanced Optics, it helps you do that. I mean, it helps you guarantee. You can also go Pattern Analyzer. I know William likes Pattern Analyzer. I like Pattern Analyzer on Hollow a lot, not so much on Von Reg, but either way, you can go Optics or Pattern. Up to you, but definitely Mag Pulse. And I think Shield is good in this case. You don't need Shield and Yttrium. It's just just overkill. Don't let your ships get shot.
Yeah, and that
Don't
would
get
be
shot.
my suggestion. If you want to do a power cells like effect, you might as well just buy the shield outright on Hollow.
All right, and then Will, how are we gonna tweak Hollow? I think we all said pattern analyzer on Hollow.
Oof. I mean, like I said, if you're looking for a little bit more resilience, you could drop the pattern analyzer for a shield upgrade. I think that leaves you with not a lot of points, though. I think you have to just take the baffle as your last upgrade. Yeah, because
You like baffle?
powers. Well, what else are you doing with 2 points? There's literally nothing else you can get.
No, but I mean, I don't think you need shield upgrade on Hollow because Hollow, you know.
I think as it's a straight up replacement for power cells, though. It'll keep you alive.
So what would we say is the
first.
best Hollow? Let's if we just dropped it, no shield. What Hollow would we do? Would we go pattern analyzer? Is that like the state? That's a staple choice, right?
I mean, pattern analyzer, conch or mag pulse, and proud pattern, missile of choice.
All right.
I mean, mag pulse ain't bad. It's never bad. I think it's taken a long time for everyone to come around to the jam and deplete on the mag pulse. Actually, very valuable.
And then you get munitions fail safe, just in case your mag pulse sucked. For 1 point. Well, there you go. We were able to tweak this just a little bit. I know that we were, I guess the only other point of contention I think I remember was whether or not we were going to keep cluster or concussion. I did fly concussions this week, trying out Crispies. I haven't tried the concussion yet, so we'll go ahead. We'll leave it for now. And with more testing, we can open up debate later on that. Flavor. How about flavor to taste on that one, on how you want to fly it. So we'll go ahead and we'll copy this one down to the notes, and we'll hand it over to Zach after the show. Now, here is your warning. If you do not want to get Obi-Wan spoilers, this is the chance now to run away, turn it off, all right? Because we're going to go ahead and jump into it. This last Wednesday was the finale, the final episode of Season 1, question mark? Maybe, is there another one? Who knows? So this is your chance. Final warning, 3, 2, 1, and we are in full spoiler zone. So I want to start with, I guess, your overall impressions of the series. Did you enjoy the ride? Yay or nay? Start. Yes or no? Marcel, handing it over to you first.
I did. I actually liked every episode. I mean, there was some silly stuff in there, but even the silly stuff, I accepted it as a TV show and as a fun one. So I don't have a lot of criticisms on this one. I don't know if I was vocal about it on the podcast, but I mean, I definitely hated the Boba show. I thought it was dumb. But outside of the Mando episode, outside of the Mando episode, the rest of the Boba show was dumb. This one I enjoyed every episode. Again, there was a couple I think we talked about it a little bit. I'm like, why is Obi-Wan like such a wimp? And you're like, what do you want him to be, like super tough? He's been out for 10 years. I'm like, yeah, I want him to be super tough. And
he's gonna get. He got there.
Yeah,
he got there.
He was
right?
he was like a video game. He was like I was like, what? So I was geeking out about it, and I was like, that totally makes no sense because that that's like
this is like right, like this moment right here. I literally yelped in my seat when he did the pose.
Yeah,
Dio,
no,
he did the thing.
awesome.
He did the thing.
He did the thing. Well, the funny thing is, like, this pose, Ewan McGregor did it happened in episode 3, but it wasn't as refined. Like, it wasn't as clear. And in the Clone Wars show, I feel like that is what really made the stance like a little bit more, I'm going to call it more angular, right? And he's kind of copying what happened in the Clone Wars show, which I like. It looks good. It looked good. I was like, oh, yes. I was excited.
Yeah, 2 thumbs up on this one. Enjoyed every episode. Hopefully, I think there's a season 2 coming. I know there was news. I don't know what the news were, but good times. Enjoyed it.
Ryan?
I also enjoyed it overall. And I won't get into it yet as to why I would be excited for season 2. And saying that now would surprise past me. Not that I would be like disappointed and not want a season 2. It'd be like, I thought this would be the self-contained limited series, one Obi-Wan, it'd be really good, and we call it good, and I'd be happy.
Right.
I'm surprised to know that I'm actually looking for more because of what happened at the very end. We'll get to later.
Right. Yeah. Will?
I really liked it overall. Got to see a lot of the different sides of Obi-Wan, right? Through sad. He was basically going through. I don't know if they showed all of them, but he went through all the stages of grief, right? Like depression and then bargaining, things like that. I don't know if he hit every single one, but I really like that range of him going through his history, having to relive it. The lightsaber fights, top notch, and man, everything. It could have almost been called the Vader show, because a lot more Vader than I was expecting. I thought a cameo or two, like maybe a flashback, which the flashback was great as well. To you see it there at the Hayden Christensen training. Where they're sparring, I guess.
The 40-year-old Padawan.
Yeah. They didn't DH him as enough, but it's fine.
We got it. We understood. We understood what was going on.
My only complaint about the whole show was that the only spaceship combat we got was for some reason the transport that could fly like a butterfly out there. By the way, it felt so light. But then Obi-Wan got into his little transport as well, and it was also flying around like a little bee. But not any spaceship combat. I wanted a good dogfight in the movie, but
that's the X-wing player in us, right?
Yeah, but Obi hates flying.
So, Obi hates flying. What are you talking about?
He's so good at it, though. He knows.
He was
even in that little transport.
Being a Jedi Master, and we saw how it built up to even him doing that.
By the way, if you don't know the story about why he hates flying, it's in this book right here. Master and Apprentice actually explains the story on why he hates flying. Short story, I guess if you don't want the spoiler of it, if you're planning on reading it, 30 seconds. He has to fly a ship inside of a ship, like inside of a carrier ship, in the Clone Wars. Essentially, he's in a starfighter, and he's having to fly it frantically through, like, inside of a carrier ship. Essentially, was what happens. And after that, he's like, "I'm done. This wasn't fun. It's not fun anymore." It went from like flying's all right, it's cool, to nah, I'm done. No more. Never again. All right. For me, overall, I mean, as you guys know, I get called out on it all the time. I'm very easy to please. Give me a fun ride, and I'm not gonna complain. And it was a fun ride. It was a fun ride. I think I'm a sucker for for character development. I love what they did with Kenobi. It was what I expected, like him being all sad in the beginning. Like if they had started with him being like, everything is fine, this is my life and I'm happy, like I probably would have been a little confused. But it followed the path of what I thought it was going to be, which was him. Not really. He was depressed, not happy with how life is going, and him reclaiming his identity is kind of the way I looked at it there. If I had a complaint, here we go, Dion with a complaint. What? It was, I wish they had a movie budget to put on this 6-episode show, because there was moments definitely where it was like, oh man, this is really cool. I wish they would have had a couple, $100,000 more to spend on the on the CGI here and there.
The episode that you're pointing out to, when they're trying to get into the base, they just have like 30 dudes standing on like a studio shooting one laser into their wall.
Yeah.
That's when I noticed. I was like, oh yeah, this is a TV show. Oh yeah. And when Vader does like the Force gripping, like just like for that moment, like it was awesome, and I literally screamed. Like I was like, oh yes, like like it was great. When I rewatched it, I was like, all right, it kind of looked like a video game cinematic, which isn't bad. Like it looked good from that standpoint, but it didn't look like it would be something where if I was watching a feature film, I would be like, that needs to be better. What happened here? But I guess it's in the range of acceptable for a TV show. For me. All right. Where do you? I mean, this open discussion. Where do you guys want to go next? What do you want to talk about? I mean, so we saw all of Leia's arc for the show. Do you have any new Leia opinions from when we first met her?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
I am glad that in the sequel trilogy, they put a lot of focus on Leia, right? Like there was a lot of things that revolved around her. But if you hadn't really read, in my opinion, again, mind you, I'm somebody who's read like all the canonical books and all that. Like in those books, you get a great understanding and a better connection, in my opinion, with Leia. Like you get more than just what's on screen, and like seeing her as a kid and seeing some of that character development. I'm glad that we got to spend more time with that character before she was the badass general who is just she's on point. She is the Rock, and just getting to see that it's like, oh hey, she was she was going through some pretty crazy stuff while besides getting hunted down by Reva, her brother was pretty much just chilling. Right, like she was developing those skills. They hint at her doing like junior Senate, which is something that she does in the books, and it was cool to see on screen. Ryan, Marcel?
Yeah. Anybody else as far as Leia?
I mean, it was nice. I'd never read any of the books related to the Skywalker saga. Like the only books I've read were like some of the older ones, like Old Republic ones. So I was looking at the whole time Leia through the lens of Leia. I guess I just accepted Leia as being who she was. Like. Mm-hmm. The director said, "This is who she is," and I said, "Well, okay, that's who she is." Just like, yeah, sure. I mean, that's what you say. but it was interesting that in the first episode or two, probably 2 episodes, in the first 2 episodes, I genuinely disliked Leia. I'm like, what an annoying little brat. Like, I mean, that was just my thought process. I was like, I mean, I didn't dislike the show or anything.
I've spent a lot of time with 10-year-olds. That personality was on point.
Yeah, I was like, it's just like, what an annoying brat. Like, I would be exhausted after a day with that. Towards the end of the, I mean, I genuinely thought like, hey, this is. I saw the development, like you said. I saw like I can see like this is the molding of somebody that will have character. Like it builds character. Yeah, well, that's what you saw. It built character. It's like it's a spoiled brat, very annoying, that goes through stuff and is like, oh, it's real out there. And then that kind of grounds and centers around, it grounds the person, the child, so she went from like a happy-go-lucky annoying make fun of their cousin's person to a ish is real.
Yep, stuff is real for sure. Now, Ryan, earlier you were talking about the ending. Let's go ahead. Let's jump there. What'd you want to hit?
Well, at least to what I pertained to before. We did finally see the Force Ghost of one Qui-Gon Jinn.
Qui-Gon!
Which I assumed was going to happen in this series, as to it being hinted at the end of episode 3, when Yoda was like, how to commune with him, I will teach you. We never saw Yoda teach him, but my assumption is he taught Kenobi, but Kenobi, throughout all the trauma and everything, like he could never probably get it to work, because as Qui-Gon said at the end, he was never ready until now. And that's what I'm like. I don't know if you can base most of. I don't think you can make it the main plot of a season 2 of Kenobi for him to learn from Qui-Gon's Force Ghost and like how to do what Qui-Gon's done in his afterlife, essentially. But to be a main subplot, yes, I'd want to see how that develops. Like, what his interactions with a now Force Ghosted Qui? Because, man, since the original trilogy, right? We haven't had like Rise of Skywalker would be the last time, I think. Like a seriously good master-student Force Ghost interaction.
I mean,
Last Skywalker was even light. Last Jedi was the whole Yoda Luke thing. Like that was a little bit. But I mean, if we're talking back to how Obi-Wan and Luke interacted from the original trilogy, like that's the kind of little more. You know what I mean? Like I want to see a little more powerful. Yeah. So that's what I'd like to see in season 2, if that's because obviously they're teasing it here, so it should lead to something. I hope it would be a substantial subplot. And I don't think it can be a main plot, but I think it needs to. I'd like to see more of that development between, because we don't see. We saw the end of Qui-Gon and Obi's relationship of a master and apprentice, right? We never got to see the long before. It's in the books, like you're aware of, Dion. I'd like to see how that relationship would be now that Qui-Gon is a Force Ghost, showing himself to Obi, and just how they would interact more in a TV series.
Agreed. I think that book could be a show. I think people would tune in for sure. Because it is Obi-Wan when they're young, I think they'd probably have to recast Obi-Wan. They probably can still pull off Liam Neeson being Qui-Gon. They'd probably have to recast Ewan, which I don't know. That might make Disney afraid to do. But
I wouldn't doubt they would do flashbacks.
Oh,
where
for
they
sure.
would show a younger Ewan that someone else would be casted.
Now, I do got a little X-wing question. Not sure if you guys noticed, right? In this scene, they showed this there's a Lancer class pursuit craft in the background, and they just keep showing in the background, like all these angles, and this ship is just sitting there. It's a slightly modified from what we have as a model. Because the front engines, I think we have our circles instead of like this oval shape. A little bit of speculation. Who do you think? Who's on the planet that is it a bounty hunter we don't know? Is it just like a general ship? Any ideas?
I mean, what is the Lancer originally? Because most of the bounty hunter or scum ships are basically modded up versions of something that was a military ship at one point. So whose military did it belong to
It's a
first?
pursuit craft specifically, similar to the fire spray. So I assume like this is like a cop car or like made for like bounty hunters.
Yeah, it's according to the Wikipedia, the first sentence is Lancer class pursuit craft, also known as the Lancer pursuit craft, was a patrol ship produced by Mandel Motors, originally at the behest of the Black Sam crime syndicate, but it is a patrol ship. So
Right.
it could literally just be a ship that was bought by the Royal Alderaan family or families, whether it's Organa or not, assuming it's probably Organa since it's here, and just used as, one of the security forces patrol ships.
Yep. I just thought it was a pretty aggressive ship to have in the background, because I mean it goes zoom, but it also goes boom. Like I don't know. It got me thinking what could be, and I was trying to think about timelines. We know that Asajj has one of these. All right, it's a different style, different paint job, so it's not this one. I mean, but mind you, we've never seen Asajj in live action. She, depending on, she might be alive at this time. There's this whole it's canonical. It's in one of the books. There's an Asajj and Quinlan Vos adventure that happens. Maybe turns out they took a pit stop in Alderaan. But who knows? I thought it was really cool to see this ship that we've never seen in this view before, being so featured in a bunch of shots.
I'd say for me this in between of like what has Leia and Obi and stuff been doing for the 20 years in between, in the 20 years of the rebellion and what you get at the beginning of episode 4, between episodes 3 and 4, makes me wonder, like, and you guys reading the book, you guys might have some reference. I didn't read those books again, so I don't have any reference, but in my mind I'm thinking like Yoda must, he's not twiddling his thumb for 20 years. Like, he's got to be doing some, pulling some strings and even if it's not, a lot of action, he's got to be pulling some strings, making things happen, making things go a certain way. I don't see him as somebody that would just, pull a Luke. And, also thinking, what about Lando? What's Lando doing during these 20 years? So it does make me think about, if this is what Obi is doing, and this is what Obi's up to during this time. There's got to be some neat stories that are in the same 20-year period for some of the other characters that are like, well,
I need the Calrissian Chronicles. I need it so much. I think did we talk about it? I'm not sure if it was on air or off air, where it's like you get Donald Glover to play young Lando, but you keep flashing back to Billy D. Williams like he's in a room just talking to people.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm in on that. Oh yeah.
I would take it. Any other things you guys want to bring up just in general about the series? Any questions? I don't know. This is a little more casual.
To me, it explained the such a strong connection Leia always had with Obi-Wan, right? She called him out by name, right? Knew his address, I guess, because she had to tell R2-D2 something,
right?
When she told him that she was the only hope. So Reese, I really like how they re-cemented that question of like, why would Leia, how would Leia know Obi-Wan, and why would she think, he was so cool?
Already saved me. I've seen it. I literally lived it.
It was the only hope.
Yeah, only hope. Right? Like, how would she know he was a Jedi Master? All that stuff, right? And then as well, she names her son Ben, which is what Kenobi kept saying. I think he stopped saying it at some point when he was not so sad anymore, when he reconnected to the Force.
Right.
But he was like, I'm not Obi-Wan, I'm Ben. He kept saying that like repetitively in the first couple episodes before he finally reconnected. So I think that's strange. That like she didn't take Obi-Wan, she took Ben, his like pseudo name. Yeah. His like undercover disguise name. But still a strong connection between the two. Now, obviously, Obi-Wan like saves them in the Death Star and stuff like that, right? Spoiler alert for A New Hope, but but saves them. So like that always made sense. I was like, oh well, maybe she still thinks back about that day. Pretty traumatic couple of days. So, but this again cements the connection between them. I really liked all of the things Obi-Wan says to her about her like lineage at the end, right? And you see it later, or earlier rather, when they're on that planet with the truck driver guy, when they're like riding in the back of his truck, where he's like saying all these things about, I see a little bit of your mother in you, and obviously he's like telling a tale, but the best lies are partial truths, right? So he was saying truthful things, he just was saying it in a deceitful context, essentially. And that comes back, and there was a lot of, I forget if Obi-Wan calls it out directly, but like he references that like she's not just Padme. Leia is very much Anakin as well. Right. Now he only mentions the good things about Anakin, but it sets the standard that Leia has all of parts of Anakin in her as well, which is probably why she like rejects the Force at a certain point, almost like scared of it, right? Later on in her life. So I think that's really interesting, that we see that connection between Leia's not just like a powerful woman; she's a powerful woman because of her lineage.
Right. Now I have a question for y'all. So I think one of the things I've been seeing a lot of question is, why is it that Reva has now survived not one, but 2 stabs in the chest with a lightsaber? Do you think, or I guess potentially, did she survive the second stab? And is she still alive? At the end of episode 6, is she alive? What do you
Yeah.
guys, right? I mean, yes. So,
And she went off walking off or something.
so I don't know. Like, I know that's a thing of a question. It's like our man Obi-Wan went down, looks like a punk now because some Inquisitor ends up getting shanked twice and doesn't die. So the first time they say like, oh, her revenge kept her alive, right? Her drive for revenge is what like healed her.
Yeah,
and I
Grand Inquisitor says to, like, specifically, like, to her that, like, revenge is a heck of a motivation.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess technically she got up from the second one for revenge as well, but then changed her mind? Right?
Wait, who stabbed her a second time? I thought she
Vader.
got shot.
It was Vader. Vader shanked her.
Reva's only been stabbed once.
No, didn't Vader stab her?
Vader stabbed her.
Yeah, at the
No,
end.
once.
in the hangar.
Yeah, and then she was also
as
stabbed
a
as a kid.
As a kid.
Oh,
No.
so that was suggested. Was it really ever sure that she actually
Yeah,
got
she was.
stabbed?
Yeah, they showed. I mean, it was pretty clear. I mean, they had the same facial expression. They had the same stabbing motion. And he even said it like, "Yeah, I remember you," and he repeated the same action. I mean, I thought it was pretty clear that she
I
was
was pretty
stabbed,
sure.
and then
I thought she
played
barely
dead.
evaded it, and
Ah, come on! I didn't think she would have been able to evade Anakin's
It was
strike.
very
look,
traumatic.
they never
for
had
her.
the visual, right? So I
Right.
didn't.
Well, they're not going to show a 7-year-old or 8-year-old be gutted.
I
yet.
mean, they had Vader snap a kid's neck in the street
That did happen.
in this series.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's a little more like than like a lightsaber stab. which
Yeah,
is-
she tortured Obi-Wan by dragging him through like burning coals as well. Pretty brutal stuff.
Well, either way, she survived at least one, potentially up to 2 stabbings. And I guess I'm curious to know what's
I
going
mean,
to be.
so did Grand Inquisitor though, right?
True that.
He did come back with no story.
Yeah.
Of just like, I would like your jewelry, please. Thank you.
give my button.
Ooh, loot. Nice.
I choose to loot the body. Oh man, that was great. So I guess if we're talking about characters that come from this show, Reva is the newest one, or one of the new ones. Do we get more of her in a future Obi-Wan series, or does she belong in her own, or in a different story? I guess
She belongs in a video game. She's going to be a cameo in a video game.
I was thinking about that too, actually.
Jedi Fallen Order 2.
Probably.
Realistically, if you look at Reva, that came from the Inquisitors. That's a prime candidate for like a strong, like part of the crew member of Cal Kestis's crew at that time.
Oh,
right?
you're right. Yeah.
Like, I could see Reva being that person because apparently, the next Fallen Order game takes place in the same time frame as the Kenobi series.
True that.
So Reva could. It's weird. We usually see the besides the obvious, they're in the movie. They jump to a game because the game's made for the movie, right?
Right.
But we don't really see a lot of a actually canon continuing story of a character from the live action into a game.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's actually a good call, Marcel. I thought about that too. I think that's definitely possible. Reva could also just end up similar to Asajj Ventress.
Mm-hmm.
She was casted out and decided to go into bounty hunting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how Reva ended up seemingly on an emotional or mental level, if she if that fits her character.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I feel like she went a little not full light side, but she held back against more violence.
Right.
Because that violence was her original trauma, right?
Mm-hmm.
She didn't want to become that. Doesn't mean bounty hunting is the same violence level as being like Darth Vader, which is what she hated the most.
Right.
But I don't know if that's like the direction that would make the most sense. Might be something she would try. I don't know.
What do
Whatever they want to take
you
the character, I'm interested.
What do you guys think about putting her in Cassian as part of the rebellion?
The Andor series?
Yeah,
Quick
Andor.
turnaround.
Yeah, I mean, if
Popular
they're all
character.
planning it at the same time, I guess what that would do is, we know how Cassian's stories ends, right?
Yeah.
Like that would add a new character who we don't have an explanation for their ending their role, so it could add some weight there. And Ryan, to kind of play off of what you were saying, I would love to see Cal Kestis, like if they did like a full circle, like they take Reva, put her in the video game, and then we get Cal Kestis in live action, because the face of Cal Kestis is an actor, like that's a person. They literally just gotta throw the costume on, and you have Cal Kestis in person.
And then out of nowhere comes Sam Witwer as Star Killer. Whoosh. That's an old cut.
That is an old cut, but still available. They haven't used his face is not canonical yet.
For people who don't know, Sam Witwer is the voice of many known characters in Clone Wars, including his biggest one being Maul. Mm-hmm. He is one of those like actors that is a true fan. He loves everything Star Wars too. Mm-hmm. Seems like a really cool dude. He's even visited FFG once before. I watched that little interview he had visiting their offices at the time. But he originally, as far as I'm aware, started as Star Killer in the Force Unleashed games. For anyone who hasn't looked at those, since they are at least 15 plus years old now, at least.
Yeah, PlayStation 3, Xbox 360. That's old.
It's good stuff. Good stuff. Well, I think that's a good way to put a cap on today's episode. Thank you for hanging out with us. We'll be back next week. Well, potentially. We got to figure out logistics. But at least in 2 weeks, we'll get to talk about the upcoming planning phase syndicate event, how that went at that point, and get to start previewing our thoughts going into the next Galactic Championship qualifier. It is Malachor, and looking forward to that. Remember, you can join us on Discord for more discussions, and if you want to become part of our largest group of supporters, head to patreon.com/Gold Squadron. Thank you so much for everybody for your time. Love your faces. Be smart. Be safe. Gold Squadron.